All right, what's up, guys? Ryan from Elevate Security here. We're just gonna wrap up the remaining ports here that we didn't go through yet, and in the subsequent videos, we're gonna be digging into Metasploitable 2 more with these open ports and really doing further enumeration, because I just want to give you the basic rundown of what is low-hanging fruit and in what way, like RCE or maybe gather more information. And then in the subsequent videos, we can get more granular with that and be like, okay, this is low-hanging fruit, and this is how you actually gather information from it or exploit it or whatever, right? So we'll just continue here. We should be able to get through the rest of these in this video. 445 is, that is SMB. And SMB is really notorious for RCEs and stuff like that. Now, if you can get a nice fingerprint here of what version, in this case, remember in the previous video I said if you see SMB, it's normally Windows. Here's a situation where that's not the case. This is a Samba server, so we know this is Linux because we downloaded it, set it up in our environment. We know for sure it's Linux. However, Linux can run, and it's not that standard. I've seen it in the OSCP before, and I've seen it in CTFs before, but generally you're probably going to only encounter Windows servers running SMB. But if it's a Samba server, then it could be a Linux box running SMB. That's the case here. Anytime you get a nice fingerprint, though, definitely do your searches. See what it's what the vulnerabilities are, the known vulnerabilities for it. A lot of times, the reason this is always one of the most juicy things to find, because a lot of times when you see SMB running, if it's an older version, which in the CTFs, OSCP, there's a lot like this. A lot of times you can just auto-pwn it with Metasploit, but of course, resist the urge to do that right away, because you can only use Metasploit once, as I'm sure you all know, on the OSCP. If you're just doing a CTF or whatever, feel free, just point and click. But yeah, that's what's going on there. So now, with these, I think this is pretty much the same thing, a little bit non-standard. I don't come across this as much. I think you can maybe get some null sessions off this. I may be wrong. These aren't ports I see open too often here. And you'll notice as we get higher down in the ports, these are things I see a little bit less. But next, we'll just go to this Java RMI. I know there's some RCEs for this. Definitely look into Java RMI exploits and stuff like that if you see that running on your target box. But in all honesty, I don't typically see that in the CTF environments. But I know that there's RCEs that you can pull off with Java shells and stuff like that. But yeah, and this one is just a root bind shell that they opened up on the box, I believe. You won't really see this in the wild either, or in the CTFs. NFS, network file system. This is where there's some commands like NFS mount that you can run in order to connect to the network file system. This is going to be, if you're able to connect to it, it's going to be information-based kind of port where you can, read the files on the mounted file system, and you probably get credentials or something like that of value. Now, this is FTP running on, I guess Pro FTPD by default runs on port 2121. So same deal as the other FTP. I would look for pretty much the same thing. Try anonymous login. If not, see if you can get credentials to this FTP server somehow, and then maybe you can get more information, something like that. So next, moving on, MySQL. You should never see a database accessible beyond just the local host. It should never just be accessible, open up to the network. So definitely I would look pretty long and hard into this if I encountered this in OSCP or CTFs. Because yeah, generally you don't want to expose that to everyone. So it's normally only visible to localhost. Same thing with Postgres. I would definitely enumerate the hell out of that. VNC, there's been a lot of notorious RCEs for VNC. So I would definitely look into that, especially since I have such nice information. You won't always have these nice fingerprints when you're doing yours. Metasploitable is intentionally set up to be very vulnerable, so you're able to get a lot of information from Nmap and stuff like that. So that's why you see this very granular information, but you won't always have that liberty. So when you have it, then yeah, just do your due diligence on it. X11, I can't really remember what this is. I don't see this too often, but I'm pretty sure this is a juicy one. I would just do some searching on it, to be honest. IRC, that's like a chat functionality. So I would try to connect to this. It's probably going to be an information-based kind of thing where you can connect to an IRC chat and you can find some information that you can then use to compromise the system. Yeah, so I mean, the rest of this, like, this is like a Tomcat server here. Tomcat, I will say, that is a very juicy one. If you can connect to a Tomcat server, try the default credentials. Anytime you find some kind of management console, Google what the default credentials are and try that. Because if you're able to get with default credentials, in the case of Apache Tomcat, you can upload a WAR file that can give you a shell on the system, right? So you can instantly get a shell on a system with default credentials and knowing like what port this is running on. So very good stuff here. Maybe that's something we can demo down the line. But those are the main things really. And I guess we'll just look at this full and see. It did find some extra stuff, but here, let's just go ahead and go to the top just to make sure it didn't find anything that really jumps out to me as a common thing I would see a lot. But yeah, I think we really covered the low-hanging fruit, at least at a basic understanding. In the upcoming videos, like I said, we're going to go more in depth with this. I really want to show you guys how to leverage this low-hanging fruit in order to get the most out of what is available to you and waste the least amount of time possible, right? Because anytime you can save time on OSCP, then that's more time you have to get more shells, right? So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know down in the comment section below how you're liking this series so far and if there's anything else you'd like to see. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next video.